So I had worked at an internship after college at a place called the Seattle Weekly, which was one of the big urban weeklies in America. Then I went to grad school. As my final project at the University of Missouri to get my master's, I did a project called The Inlander. And the idea was to do a weekly paper for Spokane, my hometown, and did this whole booklet and got an A and put it on the shelf and figured I'd show my grandkids someday, but it was just this thing I did. Of course, those things have a way of kind of nagging at you, and over the next couple of years it started to seem like, wow, maybe we should try that, wow, maybe we should go for it. Talked to my brother Jer when he was graduating from the University of Washington.
He called and said, hey, what do you think about moving back to Spokane and starting a weekly newspaper? And I just, I'm 23 and I'm like, sounds good.
We jumped in and we used the plan and kept the name, and we went to my grandma and asked her to borrow some money, and she gave us our seed money to start up with. My mom came to work for us early on. She was an owner of the paper early on.
She started at the very beginning with us and helped us build the staff, add new people, learn how to be a business.
And so on Thursday, October 20th, 1993, we were actually printing the paper that morning. It was supposed to be going out that morning, but things happened and it got behind, and so we were all over there watching the paper come off the press for the first time, and we were in a scramble to get the paper out there. We had racks in people's cars in the back lot, and we were hauling papers out there, and people were going to run around to different places and drop off the racks, fill them with the paper.
It was exhilarating, and later on that day, once we got it done, we realized, wow, now we have to do another one, because we'd spent about 3 months keying up that first issue, and now we had a week to get another one done.
Early on, we all did everything. I mean, I did layout, I've done covers.
In the early years, I was the distribution driver, so every Wednesday I would go out and take papers to all the different distribution points.
We had one computer, we were doing all our page layout on one computer.
We had one email address.
Well, we had a little building outside the KXLY studios over there called the Georgetown building. It had a cool turret.
And it was pretty small, but I think we had, 6, 7 people.
It was definitely like something we could barely squeeze into. So my mom and dad, another example of family stepping in, they bought us a house in West Central.
And then they rented it to the Inlander. Everybody sat in different rooms, typically bedrooms and things like that. I mean, it was a crack up. And then one of the great moments that we had was Congressman Tom Foley was going to come over and visit with the Inlander and come and see us. I mean, he was third in line to be the President of the United States, and there he was standing in the Inlander talking to us.
When you look at old issues, we weren't super polished on the look of the paper. We were still struggling to get ads, but we had some good stories.
It really was years before we ever felt like we turned the corner from losing money to just barely losing money to breaking even to profitability level. It was probably 6 years in.
Early on, I felt like Spokane needed a little boost of self-confidence, and I think that the subtle message of every issue of the Inlander was, there's stuff going on here. Look at all of it. Page after page of things happening, cool people doing cool things, new businesses, new restaurants.
I think it was in the late 90s that the Inlander first launched at Inlander.com. We've always viewed Inlander.com not as a replacement for the print edition of Inlander, but instead augmenting the print edition of the Inlander.
The tenure was great. I mean, we just felt like we were dialed in at that point. We were ready to roll. We knew things were happening in Spokane. We had our party at the MAC. The new MAC was beautiful.
It really took 10 years before we really got a full handle on this is the kind of business that we are. These are the things that we do. And that was when we started expanding into all the different things that we do.
Yeah, we had been in the Civic building over by the Spokane Club for 10 years, and it was great, but we just started running out of space. So we went to the Hutton building for a couple of years over there on Washington and First. It was a great location. We were right in the middle of downtown, had the taco truck. Everybody loved that.
A number of years ago, we switched over to a new printer.
We had the idea of we're just going full color. Every ad in the paper is going to be full color. And we came across Wenatchee World, which is a family business over in Wenatchee. They own a beautiful press.
It's 3 stories high, and it can print 64 pages of all full color.
And I think it just gives it a much more dynamic feel.
It's beautiful.
If you go over the 20 years, we've had so many different people toiling here over the years. I mean, there's a great batch of people we have right now.
You have to bring on good people, and they have to care about what you do.
It's whoever's in this building at a given time is what the paper is. Every week, think of just a newspaper that's blank. Like every page is blank. And that's what we're here for. We're going to fill those pages. And at the end of the week, every page is full.
The Inlander publishes about 52,000 copies a week. and that translates into about 125,000 weekly readers. The Inlander reaches about 200,000 total people, 200,438 exactly. 42% of adults in our market, as compared to other weeklies in other markets, is the #1 market penetration level of any weekly newspaper in the United States.
Print's not dead. You know, we're proof. The newspaper experience is something people still want.
Moving into the building that we're in currently had a profound impact on me. I didn't really realize it until I was in here a couple days, and I just sort of stopped, and I couldn't. It was very meaningful. I just couldn't, really process the fact that we'd done this, that we'd moved into this thing.
And now we've got our building overlooking the city river, and it's just a beautiful location. The modern feel, the new neighborhood, it kind of projects what I think the Inlander projects for Spokane.
It's professionally developed stories that tell the stories of the Inland Northwest. I wasn't really thinking when I put on my clothes this morning.
It looks fine.
Now, being where I am today, but...
You have a call from 213.
Hold on. Hello?
Oh.